Hi everybody, this is Ellis, and this is my creative activity number 4 for week number 5, theater history with the Elizabethan and Stuart courts. I decided to do a model of a mask, a court mask, from the Elizabethan times. I decided to do A Midsummer's Night Dream. I just connect with that show a little bit better than The Tempest. I really was drawn to this whole mystical forest type feel. So I started off with my model and kind of playing around with the items and deciding how I wanted to do my stage, what I wanted it to look like. I really wanted to give this idea that it was in a building, like in the palace or castles. I'm adding trees to where my set would be, my stage, my acting area. Because I love Tudor history, it's a big thing for me. I've always loved these sources that talk about bringing trees inside for Twelfth Night and things like that. They just went to extremes to create these magical landscapes inside their buildings at times for their revels. So I've added in my trees. I placed some small rocks, and I added some fake grass in for my playing area. I've always just really loved this idea of the extravagance of these shows. I also placed some fake birds in the trees because I really feel like the Tudors, the Elizabethans, they would have gone to extremes for the minute details. So I really wanted to make sure my trees were decorated as well. I decided to start working on my walls. I'm painting the walls right now, and I realized very quickly I was using the wrong colors. I ideally wanted to go for that traditional Tudor look, with the beige walls and the brown molding on it, or wood molding. And I just bought the wrong colors, and I realized it after I started painting, and it was a little too late to go back. So I continued on with it and painting this really horrible looking brown color. I decided to add windows to my model. I wanted to be able to shine light like a candle on the outside of the model and give this look that we are in a building. I didn't want it to look like a stage. I wanted to make sure we knew we were in a building, in a castle. So I'm creating the stained glass window out of those Roscoe gel sheets. I had a book on hand, and so I just pulled some sheets from that, and I started creating the stained glass window look. So I put my windows in, and now I'm adding that brown molding to the walls to kind of give it the feel that we're in a Tudor building. And I quickly realized this was a terrible idea, but I was already gluing things down, so I had to kind of go with it. I start making more of my little accents. I decided to use gold leaf just to show the extravagance, but then I realized I don't know how to gold leaf, and it wasn't working. I was gold leafing everything else but the actual little flower. So I decided to just go in with gold paint and paint it myself. And now I'm doing her throne. I wanted to make sure that her, like the queen's chair, the king's chair, was very much different from the way the other people would sit. That way we really get the idea that we are in a court mask, not just an everyday theater. I'm now going to start placing down some wooden dowel type things. There's more like flat popsicles to create some wood flooring. It's not typical for what they would have used in Elizabethan times, but I really did need to give the idea that we're in a building and not just outside in a forest. So I go ahead and place it down. The next day I forgot to film me painting it, but I painted it a brown color, and now I'm just chopping off the ends with a lot of effort. I don't know what happened to my camera all of a sudden to make it so grainy, but it will fix itself when the project's done. Now I'm placing my benches and my chair. You can't really see the benches well because they blend in with the color of the floor, but when the actual project's done and I show you the front view of it, you'll be able to tell them easier. I placed them all behind the throne, once again to give that feel of the court mask. I then decided that my walls were terrible and horrible and I just hated them. So I printed off this Tudor, I guess what I'm going to use is wallpaper, even though they didn't use wallpaper at the time. I started to Mod Podge it down, and I just gave up on that fast and decided, you know, tape is going to be the way to go right now. I was kind of done with this project by then. It'd been several hours that I'd been working on it. So I placed it down because I really wanted to once again give this idea that we were in a building, and back then they didn't have bare walls, especially in the court. They would have had a lot of, it's not just fabric, I forget the word I'm looking for. Tapestries. They would have had a lot of tapestries, very rich tapestries on the walls in the court. So I decided to do this just to give the idea that it's once again a building, a very rich environment. We're not in the typical Rose Theater. I placed my walls in. And now I start doing the little small details. I'm placing my little gold accents on the walls. I'm placing more birds. And I did leave space in the back of the box because here soon I'm going to start doing some wiring in the back of the building. So I string in these rice lights and I start placing them all around the trees and on the ground as well. You can see me turning the lights off periodically so I can get the full view. I realized they did not have electricity in Elizabethan times, so these would not have been used. They would have not used any type of electric light, but they document quite often about placing candles in trees. And so I really wanted to give that candlelight effect. I have some miniature candles that I've placed in, but they are not made of actual wax, so they could not be lit. So I placed them there for effect, and so that it could be seen that they were actually supposed to be candles. I'm also placing little jewels in there, so that the light would bounce off from the electric lights off the jewels. Once again, I really wanted to give that rich Elizabethan court effect. This is a very extravagant court. They really believe that they would have placed things like jewels in there.
If we shadows have offended, think that this and all is mended. That you have but slumbered here, while these visions did appear. And this weak and idle fiend, no more yielding but a dream. Gentles, do not reprehend. If you pardon, we will mend. So good night unto you all. Give me your hands if we be friends. And Robin shall restore amends.